What's up guys? So today I finally bring the one video that I have been trying to put together since like 2016, early 2017, and I have been so terrible at it, and that is how I fix my breakfast. I really don't have all of the ingredients together to make it happen like a full-blown breakfast, but the main thing that I wanted to show you guys is exactly how I fix my eggs, because I feel like eggs are something that either you really love it or you really do not mess with it, or you don't like it, or you hate it. I remember that when I was growing up, don't climb the counter. When I was growing up, I used to hate them. I mean, just despise them. And it was really the smell of it that disgusted me more than the texture. And then as I got older, the texture started bothering me. But I felt like I had found a solution to that, which was eat it with chips. But we're not going to do that today. So what I like to use is, first of all, your tools. I like to use a wooden thing of this. I never cook with plastic. And I like to use this thing because it's deep, because I'm getting ready to load this mug, and you want to have as much space as possible so you don't have a mess. But yeah, so I like to crank the stove on high, because when you're ready to eat and you're hungry, nobody wants to wait for anything. So just set that thing on high, and you need to be careful, because one of the ways that I fix this differently from what I'm accustomed to seeing people do is that someone left something in the freaking burger. I hate when that happens. I haven't cooked in like 4 days, so that was definitely not me. I do not use butter. You want to use butter, of course, to keep it from sticking to the pan, sticking to the skillet, whatever it is that you're going to use. But I personally like to use olive oil. And because this is an absolutely non-sponsored video, I am not going to show which brands I use. Just know that the best olive oil is the one that is stored in the dark, not on the top shelf, and the bottle itself is dark. Olive oil does not like light, and it does not like bright containers or transparent containers. That's how you know that you're getting good quality olive oil. When you start to feel some heat coming from the stove, that's when I would recommend that you set the stove to medium, because olive oil, you don't want for it to start sizzling. You don't want for it to start boiling or anything, because otherwise you're going to throw your eggs in there and it'll splash, and we don't need that. That is unnecessary. I personally pour enough oil to see it starting to spread in the pan. So like, if you see that there is a lot, I wouldn't be traumatized by it. It should be runny, but just enough to cover the entire bottom of the skillet, because this will get pretty big. I wish I could show you guys what's happening right now. I'll show you as I move along. So that's what I have going on. I have some oil at the bottom, and my heat is set to medium. The rear camera on my phone no longer works, so I have to pretty much show everything every single time as I go, and then use the viewfinder to make sure that I'm pointing at what I need you guys to see. Honestly, that's what took me so long to put this video together, because if one of my tools breaks when it comes to filming, it's just really hard for me to get back in my game. You want to roll up your sleeves if you have them. I am not a pro egg cracker, so you're going to just use your technique, and I like to just, and then let it break out of the shell. I want to learn how to open an egg, like crack an egg with just one hand and open it with one hand. I'm not that good yet. And then forget about cholesterol. We're going to do 2 eggs. I need protein. And yes, when I was not good at this at first, I have cracked eggs like really hard to the point that it split in half and then all of the egg fell on the counter. I hated my life so much when that happened. If there's something I hate in the kitchen, it's messes. This is what it's looking like. And at this point, you want to start kind of beating them. And as you can see, that oil is gonna wanna go all over the place. Let it do what it wants. Honestly, I do it also for the nutrition benefits. And also, I'm just not wild about butter, and butter is like pretty bad for you, especially if you're not careful. So I tried olive oil as an alternative. I said to myself, well, what has a neutral flavor that could be my butter replacement and not ruin the flavor? And I decided to experiment with olive oil, and it turned out well. So from now on, this is going to be the way to go. You can decide what kind of texture you want for your eggs. So if you wanted to, you could be like stirring it really aggressively and then fluff them up any other way. I personally like for them to be firm in big pieces. It doesn't need to be looking like it's diced, kind of like rice, it's many grains. I like for it to have that fluff, but to have bigger chunks, you know, like that. Whereas you could technically keep breaking it and have it be smaller pieces. But as I progress with the recipe, you will understand why I like bigger chunks. I like for it to start looking like that. It's like a big piece, it's fluffy, it's not overcooked, it's not sunny side up, it's not semi-raw or whatever, it's just there. And if you guys wonder what kind of eggs I'm using, I am using large brown grade A, whatever that means, eggs. I've just had good experiences with this. Technically I could go for the white kind, but I like brown. Once they start looking like that, at this point, I personally like to bring the heat down from medium to medium low, because I don't want for them to end up overcooking. Egg is something that cooks really, really, really fast, so you need to bear that in mind. Alright, so I beat it a little bit to spread it out, and as you can see, I got the big chunks going. Now comes the seasoning. I like to start off with a very, 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 very small hint of salt. Like, you grab the container, shake it, and that's pretty much it. Then I like to use garlic powder and do 1 sheet. Pretty much sprinkle it over the egg, create a layer, and that's it. So it'll look like that. Then I like to add parsley flakes. Just like that. Then I like to add cilantro flakes, about a pinch of it. Now I like to add 1 layer of cheese, and by layer I mean that we're going to repeat this process. This is the first layer. And I like to do that so that it helps compact the ingredients. We just added some herbs in the form of spice, flakes, and they like to go all over the place. The cheese kind of helps it stay glued to the egg. Also adds cheesy flavor. Who doesn't love cheese? This cheese is a combination of shredded cheddar and shredded jack cheese, like that white kind of cheese. I think they call it Monterey or something. I don't keep the cheese in its original resealable container because I don't know what it is that I do. I might be a beast, but usually I break the zipper lining, so I have to empty it out into a new container and then use it so that it doesn't go bad on me. You want to sort of stir it. Not really stir it, but what I like to do is I like to flip the egg that's in the pan. So that's what I did, and now keep spicing it up. Let's do black pepper. There's no way you can have perfect eggs without black pepper. I think the key to egg success is black pepper. Among other things, of course, but black pepper really helps to like kill that freaking eggy flavor that there's nothing fun to. Another thing I like to add is onion powder. You technically could take onions and dice them and throw it in here. That's ideal, but for me personally, if I buy veggies like that, it'll just go bad on me before I have time to do this again. When will I have another day off to where I can fix this? If I were to buy them pre-diced, it is way too expensive. It's usually like $5.99, $6.99 a pound, when a head of onion, a full head of onion, only costs me like 90 cents. It's not a good bargain. You're just paying for the labor of someone dicing it for you. No. Now I like to add Italian seasoning, which has thyme, basil, rosemary, and oregano. It's just a blend of all of those ingredients. All right, this is what it's looking like so far. Now I'm going to break it up and add another layer of cheese. So as you can see, the chunks are still there, which was the goal all along. Before I add the cheese, I'm going to add a very, very small amount of crushed red pepper. And I'll also add the oregano. So this is what it looks like pre-cheese. Now let's throw the cheese in there. All right, now that the cheese is there, I like to add turmeric. It may sound odd, but I just love it. This is what it looks like. You don't need to get too wild with it, just to your liking. I will add another layer of cheese, but a smaller amount, like this much. Now I'm going to stir it, blend it together, mix it in, while still keeping my egg chunks. By this stage, the oil has pretty much been absorbed by all of this. Another ingredient that I have not revealed that I am using is nutritional yeast. I discovered it some 3 years ago, and I have been trying to integrate it into my diet, and I like it. It has a little bit of a taste to it. It doesn't really enhance my foods, but I like it there. So I added some of that, but that is completely optional. You don't have to do that. It's pretty much a supplement. Now comes my secret weapon. If you are someone who struggles consuming vegetables, you really have to eat now that I'm filming, right? Anyway, add spinach. And this is why I needed to start off with a deep skillet. That's why I needed all of that room. You might have been like, oh Zem, why are you using such a big like stove top container, you know, tool for something so small? And it's because spinach is something that's really fluffy at first, and you need space to keep blending it in. Even with all the space, it falls out of the skillet, as you can see. You know, I have never truly learned the name of kitchenware. Like, what is the saucepan? What is the skillet? I only know the pot, and even sometimes I doubt it. Yeah, I just don't care. Like, I don't need to communicate what kind of instruments I need. I just see what I need and use it. Like my grandma, she can name everything. She can even name the parts of the skillet beyond the handle and the screws that may be in there. I don't know. This is what it's looking like, but spinach is something that when exposed to heat, it turns into nothing. So if you're not a big fan of what you're seeing right now, You just need to trust me that you need to hang in there and keep stirring and blending and mixing and stirring and blending and mixing. And keep the heat constant. Don't fall for the temptation of, I'm just going to make this hotter. Because if you do that, then you will end up overcooking your eggs and they'll end up really dry. And as you can see, the food has a little bit of a glow to it. It all comes from the oil. It all comes from the oil. From the oil that we put in there in the beginning. So yeah, you guys, that's pretty much it. When it comes to this, this is the way I fix it. I add about 4 layers of spinach. So if you thought that was a lot, there's still more where that came from. I use about 1/4 pound of spinach every time I do this. So yeah, just keep blending it in until it turns into nothing. As you can see, it no longer like sticks out of the pan like it was. So yeah, just keep blending it in and give it time for it to like melt into the egg. And yep. What I am going to do is finish cooking this with like my other 3 remaining layers, and when it's completely done, I'll show you guys the final product. Every 2 layers you add a little bit more cheese to help keep it clumped together. After the second round, do a little bit of cheese, let it melt, keep blending it, and after the 4th round of spinach, add a little bit more cheese, the final layer of cheese that would complete like another full round, and then blend it and mix it in, and you will see the monster that will come out of this. Delicious monster. Alright guys, that is sort of what you can expect for it to look like. I'm not done blending it in yet, but I just want to be done with the filming part of this project. And yeah, this is it. Pretty much spinach eggs. And the eggs are super versatile. So if you feel like you cannot mess with them, if you haven't discovered a good recipe to go along with it, don't be discouraged. Just try anything. Put all of your favorite ingredients together. Throw it in this, throw it in a pasta if you want to. This I personally intend to wrap around a tortilla, and just have it as a wrap. It goes super, super well. And it's a very filling meal. You just have to trust me on that one. Well, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed me sharing one of my favorite meals that I wish I could prepare with more frequency. And if you guys have any more ideas, or if there is something that you would not have included or something that you would have included, let me know. I am always open to discovering new ways of fixing the things that I love. Okay, that was ultimately what it really ended up looking like. See, all that spinach turned into nothing. 2 more to go. Alright guys, well thanks so much for tuning in, and I will see you soon.